We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
There's no combination of words I could put on the back of a postcard. No song that I could sing, but I can try.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pathways to Love. I am your host, Julie Orlov, and I am delighted to be spending another wonderful Sunday afternoon with all of you. We are here every week to talk about relationships and how you can build very strong and intimate relationships in every area of your life. And I have been doing this work for over 25 years as a psychotherapist, an executive coach, speaker, and the author of the Pathway to Love books and programs. And my work is truly committed to helping people understand the true nature of relationships and what it takes to move your relationship into deeper levels of love and intimacy, and how to really grow and expand and transform from having done so. So I'm delighted to be here again with you today to talk about the subject. And today, I don't want to spend a lot of time introducing the subject because I'm so excited to have my guest here, and we have just so many wonderful things to discuss. Today, we are talking about women, body image, romance, aging. You know, they say women don't get older, they get better. And I swear that's true. The older I get, the better I feel. And I do think women become more and more powerful human beings and really claim and declare their power and just become more beautiful with every day that passes. So we're in for a really wonderful conversation to talk about what it's like to be a woman and age, and what are all the gifts and the challenges and sorrows that come with that journey. So without further ado, I want to welcome my guest, Joanna Poppink. Welcome, Joanna.
Hi, Julie. It's great to be here.
Yes, I want to just tell people a little bit about you, and then I want us to jump right in, because Joanna is a marriage and family therapist, and she specializes in eating disorders. She is the author of Healing the Hungry Heart, which is a beautiful book and is so wise. I've known you now for a number of years, and not only are you a very talented therapist, you are really a wise woman. And I want to say one of the smartest things I have done in my life is I've always surrounded myself with older, wise women, because, you know, they are my teachers. They start to show me the way about, look, this is what you get to look forward to in the next decade. And I love that. So thank you for not only being a wonderful colleague, but a really wonderful friend and coming on today. And so we were talking about different things before the show started. And I said, well, I'm just going to let you chime in. What do you want to talk about when it comes to women?
I have so many stories to tell, Julie. But to start off, there was a study that I saw that was at Emory, and I went at Emory College in 2009, and I would like women to really pay attention to this, because we can say it gets better, or you can become more of the woman that you are, or life is glorious as you age. And the people who are living a life like that will agree. And the people who aren't will say, well, those are just words. Mm-hmm. They're just trying to make me feel better when I feel so bad, or I feel even worse because it's not true for me. So I would like you to know about this study. They did a study on making decisions and listening to expert advice. The example was financial advice, but it could be anybody who is considered an authority or an expert. And they hooked up the subjects to MRIs. So they were watching the brain function while the expert said what they had to say. And the extraordinary result was that you could actually see, because of the technology we have now with neuroscience, you could see the decision-making part of the brain shut down.
Wow.
People just ceded to the authority.
Wow.
Now, this is really important for women. I mean, it's important for all of us, but it's important for women in this conversation. Our society could be the authority that you listen to, and your own decision-making ability shuts down. Your family, your parents, your school, your teachers, your doctor, your lawyer, your Indian chief, whoever it is who is around that you consider to be an authority.
It could even be the actress on your favorite movie star.
It could be.
And the movies that you watch as well. I mean, it's, there's a lot out there.
And it can also just be a feeling that's very powerful that moves through our society that funnels you through certain stages and certain stereotypes of being a woman until you die. Mm-hmm. This is who you are at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. This is who you are. And if you accept those authoritative measures because they have authority to you, your brain will actually shut down and you'll go for it, even if you're miserable.
Right. So if, for example, if you bought into, I know that there's been all these studies, if you're a woman over 40 and you've never been married, your chances of getting hit by a truck are greater than your chances of getting married.
Well, that's absurd.
Of course, it's absurd. But for example, if you buy into that, you're walking around believing that and feeling small in that. So I just think that it's a really important topic, is to understand that you're not limited by anyone's opinion or anyone's belief system. Correct. Or anyone's so-called, fact or theory that they've hypothesized.
Here's one that's, it's more subtle until you notice it, and then it's not subtle at all. Because nobody tells you how you're supposed to dress. But if you are 50 years old or over, this society tells you how to dress.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And tells you how long your hair can be.
Right.
And what kind of makeup you wear. And if you fall into that, you put on a straitjacket. You put on a uniform, and then you start to live that way. It's not required. What is required is mindfulness and meditation and writing down your dreams, not necessarily for what wisdom is going to come from it, although you might get some wisdom, but for the practice in turning on your own brain and waking up those sections that have shut down so that you can be aware and awake for the conversation that Julie and I are just getting ready to have about what's possible. If your brain is shut down, you won't hear it.
Right.
So please know that there's a whole section of you that is just bubbling and would like so much to wake up.
Well, and I think that's a really good point, because when you talk about just maturing and aging and having more and more life experiences, the goal would be to wake up more and more and more, rather than start to think, okay, I hit my peak, wherever anyone's claimed their peak is, and then they start to shut down, to start to go to sleep, so to speak, more and more and more. So it's a challenge. So how do you keep your soul, your mind, your body awake and continuing to awaken to who you're evolving into? Because the evolution, as far as I'm concerned, as long as you're breathing, it's not over. And you are continually to evolve and grow and transform as a human being. And we just talked about before, you just had like this incredible surprise in your life. There's so many women out there who will say, well, this part of my life is growing. This part of my life I've kind of shut down. This kind of part, they kind of compartmentalize on what they've done. And I say, you just don't know what's around the corner for you in any area of your life. I mean, that's the beauty of being alive, is that surprises, life will not stop happening. It will keep coming.
I hope you all can see her face when she says this. I mean, Julie is an example of what she's talking about. She's alive. She's vibrant. She meets challenges and she goes through them and she feels them all quite deeply and comes out the other side rejuvenated and refreshed and starting a new adventure.
Yeah. It's
Yes.
all about the adventure.
Yeah.
Is my take on it. It's all
Well,
about the adventure.
You can't have an adventure without being brave. You can't have an adventure without being daring. Adventures are not methodical. There's some methodical work that goes into it. I mean, you might have to get your body in better shape in a methodical way so that you're healthy, so that you can do things. You might have to study something in a methodical way, but all to the purpose of being daring and going for what you want to go for. Women are fantastic. Women are not men. The words that Jung brought us are the anima for the feminine in the man and the animus for the male in the woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible to fool yourself and think you're being a strong woman when you're not. You're putting a lot of energy into your animus
Mm-hmm.
and being quite powerful in a masculine sort of way and denying your femininity, because we don't often feel or believe that the feminine is truly strong.
Well, that's another one of those myths or cultural beliefs that we buy into. You know, to be a CEO of a major company, you have to approach it from the male perspective. You have to come in as the males have historically been in those roles. And it takes, I think, a very wise and secure woman to understand that what she brings to the table is just as powerful and has, tremendous value and benefit. And I would even say, if we really want to expand the conversation,
Yes.
if we look at it historically, the female approach and energy is really kind of what the world is hungry for. It's what the world needs at this point. We've seen a lot of, shall I say, maybe competitive greediness, that let me fight to the death to win. A lot of that energy is what's gotten us into the mess that we are in. And it's going to take a different type of energy, the more cooperative energy, the more collaborative energy, the more feminine-like energy that I think, it's my opinion, I think is what can lead us out of it.
It's critical.
Yeah, it's really that important. So the women are key. I think they're key.
It comes to religion as well and the spiritual beliefs. The patriarch, the male god, went to the sky and was separate from us. And you look up to the male god in the sky. And when you're looking up, you're not looking at the earth. And the woman, the feminine, is the earth.
Right.
Our society has given us so many rules about not only what women can wear, but what women can say. So there are sexual, sensual body words that are shocking if women say them. But the woman's breasts are the hills and the mountains of the earth. And her vagina are the wells and water formations that come up from the earth. The woman's body is the earth. And that's ignored. And when it's ignored and the life is taken out of it through perception, not through reality, but through perception, it's okay to destroy it.
Well, and it's subjective. I think it's the objectification of it. And also, I mean, when we talk about body image, and I'm speaking from the perspective of the American culture, because I think it's, it gets a little bit different in different cultures in different ways. I mean, in some cultures, the woman's body needs to be hidden, period. In our culture, the woman's body has to be very specific. I mean, there's an acceptable silhouette, so to speak, of what defines an attractive, sexually appealing body for women. And the reality is that, women just, they don't, look like, I remember I went to, just a few months ago, I went to, my brother is in the entertainment business. He had a big party, and it happened to be the some bikini contest, and he warned me. He said, just so you know, he said, there's going to be a bikini contest. There's going to be a lot of women, because I was debating if my daughter wanted to come.
At the house where you had your book signing?
Yes.
Oh,
yes. So
fantastic place.
Right,
Unbelievable.
Right. So anyway, and I'm going with Phil. So I'm warning Phil, first of all. I said, look, there's going to be a lot of, beautiful bikini-clad women. And I said, I just want you to be aware of that. And your job for that day is to make me feel like the most beautiful woman in the room. I said, that would be a lovely thing for you to do for me that day. Because even I, who don't buy into it that much, it's hard not to buy into it. But I have to tell you, as I was walking around, and honestly, there were so many of them, they just start to, they become like ornaments.
Pictures in a magazine.
They're just ornaments floating around. They don't even start to feel like real people. And the part of me was just so tempted to just strip and just walk around in my 52-year-old body and say, you're 20-something, you've already had plastic surgery, number one. And really, there was some level where I thought, this is what a real soft body looks like and feels like. And I felt kind of sorry for them. And it was just, I didn't quite have the nerve. I think my brother would have been over the top. But I felt that need to say to these young women that had so bought into it, to the point where, all the time and energy of every day was to win a bikini contest, and be a model and all this stuff. And I just thought, oh my gosh. And I will say that my guy did do an excellent job making me feel like I just was glowing that day. So it was good.
It was probably true. It wasn't just him making you feel that way. It was probably true. I mean, what women don't get, you wanted to rescue these women, and they didn't know that they even needed rescuing. Yeah. Because body image doesn't cover the topic. It's about your energy. It's about the belief you have in yourself. It's about your juices flowing. It's about being in love with life and being in love with what you're doing and being in love with the ground and the rocks and your work and the people around you. And that energy comes up through you, and men are attracted to that.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that.
I was just in Ireland. I was falling in love all over the place, and I cannot tell you how many men were falling over to get me when younger women were around. I was just on endorphins. I was on sexual hormones. I was on blessings from the goddess. I was enraptured with the voices of the ancient stones. I was so happy. And the men were everywhere. They probably didn't even know why. Because I'm a far cry from 22.
Yeah, but I think you're right. It's that glow that comes from within, that energy that just says, who doesn't want to be around that?
Exactly.
And who doesn't find that attractive? And it's understanding, I think this is the wisdom that comes with age with women, is when you are in your 20s, you think it's just about skin deep. You really do. You think it's about that.
And sometimes it is, because if you are a piece of candy and you look nice, people will go to the candy store and have some.
Right.
And be finished with it.
Right. And sometimes it can be, sometimes I think young women get the lesson early on, and sometimes women really struggle with that for years and years and years. It's understanding that, because I think women, they can feel power through their sexuality at a young age, but it's not real power. It's more of manipulative power. Do you know what I mean?
It's not real sexuality either.
No, it's just
it's perception of sexuality.
Right. Right.
And there are at least two kinds of sexuality or sensuousness. One is when you feel erotically turned on. You know what that feels like. It may or may not be attractive. It may be attractive, it may be demanding.
Mm-hmm.
There's another kind where you feel alive. It feels very close to being sexually turned on, but it's not sexually turned on. It's sensually turned on, where you can feel juices flowing through your body. You can feel your breaths more than you ever felt them. You can feel liquid flowing through your vagina like you haven't, except you're not horny. You're not looking for a man, but you are awake and alive to being alive. And that is incredibly powerful and impactful to other people.
Oh, it's the best feeling in the world just for yourself. It's a great place to be. It's a wonderful place to be.
I garden. I have a beautiful garden. And every morning I'm out there writing in my journal, and the garden, of course, gets into the journal. So I'm watching the hummingbirds and the honeysuckle. The honeysuckle doesn't market. It doesn't get on the internet, and it doesn't write ad copy, and it doesn't have films on YouTube saying, boy, I really need some hummingbirds and bees. I've got the best nectar in town. And the hummingbirds don't join Match.com to look for a really good flower.
Right.
They emanate their own natural energies, and they find each other. And they're together every morning, and it's a love story. And they're no different than we are, except we're denying that kind of juice and emanation and life force that's in us. We have to clear away a lot to get to it. A lot in terms of the clutter in your house, the clutter in your mind, the clutter in your relationships, the clutter of false prophets, authorities, and experts in your life that are leading you astray, and get to who you really are.
It's interesting because I love what you're saying. It reminds me of, technology is always a blessing and it can be a curse. And when I think about the currency, like the way energy flows and how that works, it's almost like we've shifted way too much of our own natural currency, just the energy of life, life's force, to really simplify it, in exchange for the electricity that runs through, well, I guess now with cell phones, I don't know where it runs through. It's got this whole other thing. I don't know how it's running, but it's running without wires now. But we've become so, dependent is even in the world. We become almost a slave to our technology at this point. And I think we're losing the art of simply being and connecting and with each other through this natural energetic flow, because now we have these barriers of, screens on a cell phone, screens on your computer. It's just all over the place.
So we have to be defiant.
Yes, let's be a little defiant.
We have to be defiant and daring and rebellious, because we may very well be putting the authority into our technology.
Right.
And our technology, no matter how much we know about science, there is always much more we don't know about than what we do know about. So if this Emory study said, well, your decision-making brain, that part of your brain shuts down when there's an authority, what else shuts down? And how much does it shut down? If we're leaning on our technology this much, and that becomes the authority, how much of our brain is shutting down that could be active in ways that we can't even remember what it was. We don't miss it because we don't remember having it. But when we rebel and clear things away, which takes a lot of courage because you think you're going to be left with nothing, you think that nobody's going to like you, you think that you're going to be isolated, you're going to lose money, something horrible is going to happen because you're moving those aside. And then something comes up in you that's been there all along but didn't have a chance to come up. That's better. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying to throw your cell phones out the window.
Right.
I'm saying to take authority away from them.
Right. Well, and when you think about it, if we go back 50 years, we still had authority figures or authority channels in our life, but they were pretty limited. Now with the internet, we have nothing but people. I can't tell you now how many, I don't know how these people get my email address. I can't tell you how many emails I get every day from an authority on everything under the sun. It doesn't really matter what and there's hundreds of them. And now the internet's opening up where there's millions of people claiming authority over millions of things, and they all want to tell you what you need and ultimately sell you what they want what they want to tell you need.
I'm an author, which makes me an authority. You're an author.
I know.
Which makes you an authority. But what we're doing actually is sharing our experience and sharing what we believe we have learned from our experience. We're sharers.
Right.
And if we can connect on the basis of sharing, I think that will help open somebody up to their own mind. If we come across as authorities, we're either going to put people off or we're going to contribute to shutting down their mind because they'll shut down their mind and accept us as authorities.
Well,
no, that's not it.
And that's exactly why I have been really clear on how I wanted to structure this show, for example. I tell people who come on that hand me, interview questions about their expertise. I say, no, this is not an interview for you to demonstrate how brilliant you are and spend half your time selling something on the show. That's why I started. I said, this is conversation. We're having a conversation and we're exchanging ideas. And some of our ideas we may be similar and some may be different, and that's okay. It's just an exchange of as a conversation continues to flow, and wanting the viewers with us to join in on that conversation and be a part of it, not be a passive, okay, this is what they're telling me, and therefore I need to listen or follow or, believe. That's not what it's about. It's about an exploration of ideas and thoughts. And to see, I love what you say, is to claim your own sense of what resonates with me and what doesn't, what feels right for me. And not necessarily...
And don't accept the first answer.
Right.
Just keep going because it goes deeper than that. And then it goes deeper than that. And then it goes deeper than that.
Well, and it evolves. So, one of the things that we were also just talking briefly was about my evolution through my career.
Yes.
And it's like it's a perfect scenario. It's when I was building my career, certain things were the right fit for me. When I had small children, my career took another angle because that was the right path for me at that time. As my children got older, it took another path. It's like, again, it's understanding that you are on this journey, you are on this pathway. And so what fit for you at one point in your life, it will not fit necessarily at another point in your life, and that doesn't make anything wrong.
And that's where you have to be aware.
Yeah.
So that your mind is on. And when you're going from one stage to another. The old Buddhist expression is you use the raft to cross the river. But when you get to the forest on the other side, you leave the raft. You leave it there. And you walk through the forest. You do not carry the raft with you. That is representative of something you wanted and needed that was very useful for a particular phase of your journey, but not walking through the forest. Now you need something else.
Right. And that's scary for people. I mean,
but that's where the adventure is. That's what we were saying. You don't know that you need courage unless you're afraid.
I know. I love that saying. Say that one more time.
You don't know. I mean, the signal that you need to be brave is because you feel frightened.
Yeah.
Then you use your mind, say, taking the action. Is that courageous or foolish? And you think about it, and so you need your decision-making brain to be aware for that. But that first part is there's no courage without fear. So fear is your friend and tells you, hey, you want to make a big change in your life? Even though this seems like a very little thing to do.
And I'm wondering, and I'd like your thoughts on this. As women get older, do we... I look at older women, I look at my mom, I look at me as I'm getting older, and you do have this sense of you don't have a lot of tolerance for the nonsense anymore. There's a sense of, like, I look at my mom. Now, my mom is 80. I think she's turning 81 very soon. And her sense is there's she has this wonderful sense of entitlement that I'm not so sure she's always had. And I see it in a lot of people where they say, I've lived my life. I've put in my dues. Mm-hmm. I've been on this planet a long time. And if I want to, I can't think of something. If I want to fart in the middle of the movie, the whole movie theater can hear. I can't think of. I'm so sorry for that example. It's the one thing that came up. I can do it, and I don't need to apologize for
There's
it.
the poem, "When I am old, I'll wear purple."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I haven't heard that. So can you speak to that a little bit? What do you think that's about? And
Well,
what's
I
your
wonder
thoughts?
why we have to wait till we're old
I know.
to feel that.
Why
Why can't you be entitled to be who you are now, whatever age you are? If you want to study science, why can't you? If you want to dance on a table, why can't you? If you want to go back to school, why can't you? If you want to get married or not be married, why can't you? What is stopping you? My dear friend died in May, and she was 103. Wow. And she was alive till the end. I had dinner with her about 10 days before she died, and she was just as vibrant as ever. She still had a full practice.
Wow.
With patients. She spoke all over Los Angeles.
I think I met her.
Hedda Bulgar, yes.
Oh my God, she was incredible. I'm sorry to hear that she has passed.
Yeah,
she
and
was
you
incredible.
We still use the present tense for her. She was such a force, and that force never died because she knew who she was. She was connected to people, animals, plants, stones, with love. And I think the world loved her back. And I don't just mean people. I don't think she could take a step without trees and flowers and insects and lizards and mice just pouring love right back at her. And she was her own woman from the very beginning. She was a vegetarian all of her life. She didn't eat anything with eyes, she said. She was a Nazi fighter. She started institutes for psychoanalysis when only male MDs could do it. She was a female PhD. There are women like this in our lives.
Right.
There are women like these on the planet. And as you say, we seek them out and learn from them. And if you can't find them, be one.
I love that.
Be one.
We're gonna stop on that note because I love that. It's a powerful place for us to stop. We're gonna take a short break and then we're gonna come back. And I'd like us to address that question: what stops us from being who we are, and how can we help those out there start to reclaim that?
Yes.
And own it. So we're gonna take a short break, and when we get back, we'll be talking more with Joanna Poppink. And this is Julie Orlov. You're watching Pathways to Love, and we'll see you in just a couple minutes.
Love grows in me like a tumor, parasite bent on devouring its host. I'm developing my sense of humor till I can laugh at my heart between your teeth, till I can laugh at
Hi, this is Barbara Perkins, inviting you to join us every Sunday afternoon at 2:40 for Sisters at the Well Radio, a conversation with women about women. Join us as we share stories about current events, jazz events, business opportunities, health and wellness, entertainment, and so much more. So don't forget to tune in Sundays at 2:40, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, I'm Ro Williams, and I would like to invite you to join GospelRhythms.com every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our show, GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio. Join us as we celebrate Christians around the world in all genres of entertainment, as well as highlight interest stories on men and women who are making a difference and impacting their community. So don't forget to tune in to GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio, exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes under R&B or watch us live on Ustream TV. We are reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio on LATalkLive.com. We're more than just talk. We're heaven's party here on earth.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You're watching Pathways to Love. I am your host, Julie Orlov, and I'm here with the beautiful Joanna Popping. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And we are talking about women, romance, body image, empowerment. I don't care what it is, but all about women and as women age, what happens to us and how do we get better and what is that all about? And I know we left before the break. Actually, first I wanted to give the number out because I always forget to do this, and I want everyone out there to know that you are more than welcome to join in this conversation. And if you'd like to do so, please call 323-473-3100. That's 323-473-3100. So let me get that out there. And one of the things that we were talking about when we left break is what stops women? What stops us from really claiming fully who we are and really being in our full power? And it's something that we have to grow into. Why is that we have to grow into that? What is that process all about? And so I thought maybe you could share a little bit of something from your own experience or from your practice, whatever you would like.
Well, my field professionally is eating disorder recovery. And my life is about eating disorder recovery, I suppose. Because I had an eating disorder, bulimia, before it had a name, and I had it for almost 30 years. Now, eating disorders are very interesting. Eating disorders shut down the mind, shut down the soul. But eating disorders are also a defiance. There's something going on in your life that is so terrible that you cannot face it. It will make you crazy if you face it. So you defy that and survive by developing an eating disorder. And the eating disorder shuts you down. But you have to be defiant to keep it up. So you've got both going for you. The trick is to recover. The trick is to develop enough so that what is repressing you and suppressing you and threatening you is something that you can find a way to deal with.
And that I want to add this: what's so terrible that people feel like they can't deal with is very subjective.
Extremely.
Because, and I don't want people to think that just because someone has an eating disorder that they were, horrifically abused or sexually abused or
That's right.
There's a myth out there.
I mean, sometimes it's true.
Sometimes.
But definitely not always. It
Right.
could be the pressure from the culture.
Exactly.
It could be a sensitive mind and heart and soul that is in a situation that is too demanding and pushing towards something that doesn't fit where her natural inclinations are.
Right. So it's
It could
important
be fear of being rejected by her friends and being isolated.
Right.
And so joining in on the anorexic wave. It could be all
Right.
kinds of things. Whatever it is, it's real to the individual.
Exactly. So I think it's important that people don't judge each other, and you certainly don't judge yourself on what it is that has that feels so scary to face. You'll repress, or you'll channel, or you'll do
Right.
all these, whether it's an eating disorder or something else.
Or if you're going to judge, keep going back and forth on both sides.
Right.
That it's taking you away from life, but it's also saving your life. It's
Right.
taking you away from living a reasonable life. It's also protecting your sanity. It's going back and forth and back and forth. It's a very complicated thing. But you asked me about mine.
Right.
So, bulimic, shut down. If I'm shut down, then I have to copy. I have to find ways that people live that look like that's the way to live and copy them. It wasn't coming from me.
Mm-hmm.
When it was coming from me, I would be very surprised, and so would people around me. Sometimes I would write a short story that would surprise people that it came from me. So I dressed like my friends dressed. I went to the schools that I was supposed to go to. I majored in what I was supposed to major. I married the person that I was supposed to marry. I had sex before I was married, which meant to me that I either could never get married, because you have to be a virgin when you get married, or I had to marry this person, because those were the only options. I look at my wedding pictures and I see a lovely robot.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wow.
Completely shut down and looking acceptable, looking more than acceptable.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people running around the world
The
exactly
original
like that.
story of Sleeping Beauty is that when the prince kisses her and she wakes up, she already has 2 children, Dawn and Day. And so many women wake up in the middle of their marriage with children and a husband and a life, and they go, I've been asleep all this time. Who am I?
Right.
Yes. Yes. Go find the dusty Sleeping Beauty in the back shelf in the library and read the real one. When she wakes up, that's only the middle of the story.
Very interesting.
Yes.
I'm going to do that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. The fairy tales are right on. So waking up took a long time. It took many, many years. Part of it was associating with people who were more awake than I was and having mentors.
Mm-hmm.
But to cut to the chase and get to now, or my latest transformation, because I'm having a good time. And I wasn't. I finished my book, and I didn't realize that what I was supposed to do was take a month off and go someplace and rest. And I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I got sick. I got so sick that my life was in danger. And then when I got better, I was so weak that other things started happening to me that were putting my life in danger. And it was cascading. This, oh my God. But when you ask for what you want, it comes in different forms. So I wanted a different life, which means that the old one had to get broken and disassembled and taken apart, which is what was happening. I couldn't do a lot of things. So I discovered what was unnecessary, and I started clearing my house. Clutter. And it's an interesting process. First, I don't need the extra dishes. And I don't need the fancy dishes because I don't live that way. And then I don't need the buffet that held the dishes because I don't have the dishes anymore. And the buffet would go. And then I'd have more room. Clearing the stuff led me to clearing my mind, clearing my activities. I don't like to go to conferences. I don't like to go to professional conferences. That's really defiant to not go to them. I stopped going to them. Nothing bad happened.
Mm-hmm.
My practice is still fine. People are still buying my book. My phone still rings. And I'm not doing that. I started doing less and less of what I really didn't want to do, which gave me more room to do things that I wanted to do, and discovered what that was. Journaling, being with friends, being in the garden, being with art, studying things I wanted to study, not things that I thought I was supposed to. I remember a big day when I got rid of a long shelf on my bookcase of professional journals. I thought that they defined me as a professional, and if I didn't have the professional journals on my shelf, I wouldn't be a professional.
Right.
Hundreds and hundreds of them.
It's funny what we hold on to and
The
what they
weight
represent.
of them, the bins that they took up. I can get that information on the internet if I need it. I don't need that to define me. It was a prop that was holding me up. So the more I cleared, the more free and light and happy I became. Then I started to work on my body. I have lost, since you saw me last, I am 12 pounds less. And I'm still going. But ladies, I'm not dieting. I'm changing my body chemistry. I do not count calories. I do not control portion size.
Mm-hmm.
I'm eating a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal is to reduce inflammation, which was what was
Causing
destroying me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's happening. My mind is more clear. My skin is better. My hair is growing faster. I love having long hair. I haven't had it since I was 20 years old. And I feel so feminine with it. And I'm free to say yes to what I really want because I've gotten rid of all these things that I've been saying yes to that I didn't want.
Well, I think that's a huge piece of it, is to have the courage, because for some people it really is courage to say no.
It was courage to get rid of the dishes.
Right. Yeah. Is to that release of whether it's things, whether it's beliefs, whether it's people, like some relationships need to go.
There were many relationships that
So,
left.
it's really taking a look and stock at what's going on and say what.
But you also discover seeds that you placed in your own psyche for what you do want, but you didn't have the time or the energy or the space to pay attention. For example, I live in Los Angeles. My license is California license to work.
Mm-hmm.
But I got myself a license to work in Oregon.
I didn't know this.
Nobody knows that. I got it about, maybe 7 years ago. And I maintained that license. I thought I had it as a backup. I thought I had it because I might want to go there. Well, now it turns out that my dearest friend, who we lost touch for many, many years and now are back being friends, probably because I've cleared so much, lives a double life. She has one life in Los Angeles and another one in Deadwood, Oregon, which is very close to what I liked in Ireland. And she wants me to come out, and I want to come out, and I'm very intrigued about coming out. And then I think, I have a license in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
I put it there. Nobody put it there for me. I put it there, but it was neglected. I just kept up my CEUs and sent a check. But I've got it. So you don't know what you've stashed. I love jazz. I haven't paid attention to it for years. I just listened to classical music all the time. Then I switched to K-jazz. And I'm listening to jazz, and now I'm dancing again, and I'm singing again, and it's feeding my juices again. And people notice, and men notice, and women notice. Mm-hmm. And some people are attracted, and some people pull away. They're intimidated, they're afraid, or they're judgmental. Somebody that is as old as I am shouldn't be this happy, shouldn't look this good. There is an authoritative group, and maybe you know them. When you reach a certain age, you're supposed to shut down, make sure that your money is established so that it will go to the people who are coming next, and that you will quietly and with a polite smile go away. And you know what I'm talking about. And you do not have to buy into it. Not at all. But the forces can be strong. And you can rebel against that.
Absolutely. And find good friends to rebel with. You know, that's what I say. Make it a party.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. Because you don't have to do it alone either. I mean, that's the other thing. One of the gifts that women bring to this world and to each other is we are, I want to say the holders. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'll use it because I can't think of a better one. We're like the holders of relationships. This is where we shine, and why not take advantage of where we naturally shine and do all that. So
well, that brings up another point, which is I was raised, and I don't know how many women out there are still this way because of generation teaching. But I was raised to believe that women could never be your friend.
Oh my gosh.
Women could never be your friend because women were always in competition for men with each other.
Wow.
And so women could never be friends. And yet, what could be further from the truth? The bonding between women, the sharing of womanness is so rich and wonderful. And the more you share, the more there is. There is no competition. You give to your friend, you get it back in spades.
Oh,
in ways that
absolutely.
will surprise you.
Absolutely.
There's a list of questions I want to read to the people.
Good. Okay.
And I want to make sure we have time. I found this I was in Ireland, and a man who was a Catholic priest and left the priesthood and went and lived in a cave for 10 years on the Aran Islands, and then became a Celtic Druid priest, has a wife. And his wife's name is Tess Harper. Now, her husband gave me water from the sacred well of the feminine in the islands and enriched my life tremendously. And his wife wrote an article about the sacred feminine, and in it, she has 5 challenges for women. If you have a pencil, write these down. The tasks in birthing a conscious feminine for yourself. 1, how to be a sensuous, sexual woman in our own right, not defined by what men find sensuous or sexual, because that gets into the authority of the culture in the moment. And how to do this without cutting off from men. 2, how to find what is deepest in ourselves in terms of work, vision, lifestyle, and live this out. That's where I am now, working on my novel, which is very different from what I've been doing before. How to mother children and relate to them emotionally without swallowing them into a bog of unconscious manipulative dependence. Self-examination required there. Discovering right relationship with men, neither competing with them, being dominated by them, nor dominating them. Man and woman, a mature man and a mature woman, a man in the sacred masculine, a woman in the sacred feminine, they bring so much to each other.
Oh, absolutely.
And I had this in Ireland where I was the earth and he was the sea and the sky and the wind, and it was fantastic. with great blue eyes.
Nothing like blue eyes.
Fell into them. How to worship a divine that is feminine in essence. What rituals suffice? How could these rituals complement and even integrate with the more masculine rituals aimed at a father god? You know, I walk my dogs, and now when I walk them, and my neighborhood is lovely, I thought I was going to miss the goddess from Ireland, but she's here. I feel her in the grass coming up and the trees in my neighborhood and the flowers coming forward. This is the sacred feminine.
Mm-hmm.
We have to find it in our lives and honor it. Thank you for letting me get that in.
Oh, and thank you for those questions, because that gives a lot of powerful thoughts to contemplate and reflect on and give women that sense of, okay, this is what I can grow into. Okay.
I'm getting a signal. I
He's
don't know what
getting
it
a
means.
signal. Oh, I know what he's doing.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. you just be perfectly you. Okay. So we have a few minutes left, but I do want people to know how to reach you, or if they want to get more information about this beautiful article too.
Oh, yes.
How do
Yes.
they go about reaching you, and how can they get more information?
My email is joanna@popink.com. So that's JOANNA at P as in Peter, OPPINK.com.
Okay, simple enough.
My website is eatingdisorderrecovery.com, but you can also get it by going to popink.com.
Okay.
So that'll move you over. I'd be happy to send you a link to this article. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting.
And I expected her to be wonderful because her husband was so wonderful. And they are. She edits the magazine that this appears in, and she and her husband live in the Aran Islands.
You know, I think if there's any message that I would like everyone to take away with them, particularly the women out there, though of course this applies to
This is
men as
so
well as
important
women.
for men to hear.
Yeah, it's important for everybody. But that, you know, life isn't about peaking and then going down the downhill stretch and starting to just prepare for the end. You know what I mean? That
Yes.
life is
Rebel, defy.
it's a constant evolution. And yes, at some point, your life ends and you move on. Your energy moves on to something else. But there's no reason that I can imagine at all why your own growth and transformation should ever stop. And I use that in my work with relationships. It's not like your relationship gets to a certain place and then you're done. Like, no.
Your relationship gets to a certain place and you're done if you're done evolving personally. If you keep growing in yourself, then that stimulates your partner
That's right.
to grow in himself. If he keeps growing in himself, that stimulates you to grow in yourself. As long as you're both being authentic
Right.
and true to yourselves and honest with each other, it's an endless dance that you can have.
And, growth and transformation, sometimes it's acquired in some ways a negative connotation that
Yes.
it requires therapy, it requires all these problems. No, growth and transformation can be something as fun as taking a trip to Ireland.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? Growth and transformation can be something as simple as saying, you know what, I'm going to adopt a puppy. It doesn't matter. It can be, I want a garden today. I want to plant a new garden. It doesn't matter. Growth and transformation takes subtle forms. It takes creative forms. It takes all kinds of different forms.
It can be as subtle as moving something that you already have. I had a plaque of a man, woman, a moon, sun in the relationship corner. I love feng shui in my back garden. And I took it and had my handyman put it in the front of the house, way up high, so it's like a beacon, and it's just beautiful, and it felt so good. It felt right there. And all of a sudden, there's a man in my life.
So please don't be afraid to have the adventure Be courageous. Step into who you are. Enjoy the journey of constantly unraveling and discovering and taking off layers and learning more and more about who you are and what's available to you in your life.
And if this seems that it's out of reach for you because part of your brain is shut down, give yourself daily exercises to wake up your brain. Meditate, sing, look at the ocean, listen to the wind, journal, listen to music, and then write about what occurred to you while you were listening to the music. Open up that part of your brain that got shut down by authorities that are false authorities.
Exactly. You are the ultimate authority on you. That's what I always say. So listen to yourself. Thank you, Joanna, so much for being here. I love having you here. I love these conversations. And again, if you need to reach me, you can always reach me through my website, julieorlov.com or thepathwaytolove.com. You can get all the information that you need on Joanna and this show. Just click on the radio show icon that will take you over to that blog. You can get all the information you could possibly need on supporting you and creating really wonderful and transformational relationships in every area of your life, including you. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and we will be here next Sunday. Have a wonderful week. See you, everybody.
Bye.